Hello and welcome to this episode of Lead with Love, How to Win by Being the Loving Mother that you know you are, even though you sometimes snap and you lose it. So today is a really special day. We have a special guest. It's Holly Hummer. She's been a blogger for over 12 years. And she's got sites called kidsactivities.com and Quirky Mama. And I'm super happy to have Holly with us here today so we can get some success experiences as mothers, something that's easy to do and that's great to do with the kids, because that's really what it's all about. So welcome to the show, Holly.
Thanks so much. I'm so excited to be here. I think we can talk about all sorts of fun things today.
Yeah, I always do creative things with my kids because I find I snap, I lose it a lot. But what I can do is something tangible, and it's great. And it gets them going, and they're still so small. They're 6 and 8. You can still do that. I don't know how it's going to work when they're teenagers.
I can testify it's a little bit more difficult then, but no, it really is true. A lot of times, and I think about it as kind of a change of scenery. Is like we get stuck in kind of a momentum of just doing the same thing over and over again. And everybody gets bored and cranky and ugly to each other. And so sometimes it's just fun to stop and change course and have some fun and not do anything that has to have a point to it other than having fun.
Yeah, so today I bought a big clay. It's Christmas time and it costs nothing and it's so much fun. And I even forgot myself how fun it is to play with clay. But tell us about, I want to know how you landed at your work and a little bit about, you have so many great activities, and I love your business and your business model, and I'm just a big fan. But tell the woman today watching more about you and your work.
Yeah, so Kids Activities blog is what my husband and I do for a living. and then we have a large Facebook page called Quirky Mama that hopefully you guys have plugged into. And what it all kind of started is I started blogging about 13 years ago, just telling the stories of, at that point, I had 3 little boys under the age of 5.
Wow.
So I was just talking about what was happening in my house. Like we were potty training and we were dealing with brothers and siblings and, all the kind of crazy stuff. And as they grew and as my blog grew, they went to school. And then I realized I can't tell all those stories. Those aren't my stories anymore. Once they hit a certain age, those aren't my stories. And how things have changed in just the last 10 years or so, how, if I'm talking about them throwing tantrums when they're 8, that could literally dismantle a job someday. I mean, it's so crazy the way things are.
That could dismantle a job?
Well, they could, somebody searching them later could find out that, they were a difficult child. Yeah. So I just realized I've got to be careful because not only I don't want to embarrass them, but also this is a footprint that could potentially be permanent for them. So I started I'm like, crap, what am I going to write about? Nothing interesting happens to me without them. And so I bought what is now Kids Activities blog from another blogger who had started just kind of recording just simple things that she did with her kids. And I thought that's such a cool idea. It's kind of like recipes, only it's play. And so I just kept continuing it and thinking of and really with the emphasis of we are not the Martha Stewart of the internet. We are simply realistic, open up your kitchen junk drawer, pull something out, make something, or
don't make us feel bad. All the rest of us hate that.
It's so pointless because the point of kids' activities is to spend time with the kids, not have a beautiful
not to brag.
Yes.
Yeah. Oftentimes sometimes we do it to brag. Look, I'm a good mom, right? You post it, and it's not about them.
No, and it's not. And then when Pinterest came around, our Kids Activities really hit it big over there because they were tangible things that you could do really quickly with stuff you already have. And so that's really kind of the mission.
Keyword, stuff you already have. Yeah.
Stuff you already have, and let's just have some fun. And then over the years, we've added some resources for parents and parenting, like, I'd say not really advice, but really more about like what's worked for us. Because none of us are
welcome
experts.
To share that too.
Yeah. I was gonna say we're not experts. Like, I mean, I now have 3 teenage boys.
Then you're an expert.
Yeah. I was gonna say I may be an expert on. I don't even say it. No, I'm not even gonna go there.
I used to say I'm an expert at screaming at my kids and recovering from that. So failure is the key to success, right? We get to really learn every time we fail. So
it's so true. So, and you know, the funny thing is because I have 3 boys, I write about kids' activities, and so often my kids were the ones that didn't want to do like the thing. And so, you know, one of the storylines you'll hear throughout Kids Activities blog consistently is, hey, you know, like not every, like try this, or, you know, like here's a modification, or don't worry if it doesn't look like this, because mine rarely did. Like if I had to take pictures of something specific, I usually had to put it together.
Yeah. And you don't want the kids either, when they start drawing and stuff, to be really disappointed. That often happens, and their drawings are so cool, you know,
so much better than what we could. And that's the cool thing is, like, they end up, if you just kind of let them run with it, a lot of times you'll end up with something way cooler than you set out to make. And that's another thing that, you know, we like to write about, because a lot of times we're like, hey, we thought we were making this, and then we ended up making this. Just because the kids get so excited about, like, you know, just being creative. I mean, like, their lives are so structured. It's so cool when they can just do what they want to do.
I keep talking to my 6-year-old about a funny story that happens. When he was 3, he made his own pizza, and he had complete freedom. And guess what he put on? And it actually tasted good: watermelon, baked beans, and popcorn. And I had his picture. And I don't know if he really remembers it, but we just talked about it. We asked about that pizza, because if I'm in the room with them, I'll interrupt. But if I'm not there, they'll do things by themselves in such a different way, and kind of give them that space. So it was side story.
Yeah, and then the other thing is, so many of these things, like, you know, like that whole Mom, I'm bored, which, you know, headed into the holidays, with kids being home from school and stuff like that, that can be a big problem. But one of the things that I love to do, like use the blog for, is just like come up with some ideas of something you can just get them started with. Like, hey, here's what we're going to do. And then strategically, you know, after a minute or two and they're busy, walk out of that room, because they don't need us supervising them unless they're tiny. But like most kids don't need us supervising them, like hovering over them. They just are looking for attention. And when you can set like even 2 or 3 minutes of attention, hey, let's do this. Hey, let's go get these things. Like, here, let's get you started. And then walking away is what they needed. They don't need, you know, hours and hours of attention generally, unless, you know, something else is going on.
Yeah. So do you have something, what have you found has been, like, if there's a number 1 or 2 or 3, what's in the top list of things that really grab their attention and works, that are super simple?
So like, I would say we have like so many homemade Play-Dohs and slimes on the site, because those are like almost any age. Like, think about it just as even an adult. If you have a really cool sparkly slime at your desk, you can just like be, you know, it's like a stress reliever. It's fun for everyone, no matter what your age. So like if you have kids that are various ages that want to play together, that's a really good one too. I love the slime for just, you know, the playability, but also you don't overlook like the homemade Play-Dohs and stuff. Like, think about the salt dough that we may have made when we were kids. You know, like, it's a toy while you're playing with it, and then you can like mold it and make, you know, Christmas tree ornaments or statues, and just let it air dry. And so and then you could like take it a whole nother level and paint it and stuff like that. So there's like, that's a really nice 2 or 3 day thing. Like,
I agree.
Extended play out of that.
Especially boys, they love girls too.
Yeah, I love that stuff.
Yeah.
And then one of my favorite ones, and we probably have 50 or 60 different versions of this on the site, is crafts made out of paper plates. Because it's something that we all have, you know, for that, you know, occasional picnic. you can use all the same things that you would use on a paper plate, and they're magical. You can make anything from a Frisbee to like a polar bear.
Like, oh yeah, I never thought about that. Cool. Yeah.
So, and then there's one that we republished today that we did several years ago, that is a whole bunch of cupcake liner crafts. So like things that you can make out of those cupcake liners or the muffins.
Oh yeah. Those, yeah.
So
even keep
so
them.
much fun. Yeah, just finding things that you have around the house that they haven't necessarily explored yet. And I was just thinking the other day when I was out walking in the neighborhood and saw some of the holiday decorations out, that a few years ago we did a whole series of sugar string crafts where it's sugar and water and string or yarn, and then you put it like around balloons and then pop the balloons once it dries, and you have like just a shell and stuff like that. We made like snowmen and pumpkins and all sorts of stuff. And that's you can do that with like glue and water as well. But it's just a really like simple thing that doesn't like cost you. I mean, you're not going to have to buy anything. Everything you have is somewhere in your house.
Yeah, you don't need to take them to Disneyland if they're small to give them like
that we
something, right? Yeah, they don't like it. I just heard from a parent that the kid didn't like it, but they liked it.
Yeah. And then the other thing is really thinking about, we have a bunch of like indoor activities for like when, the weather may be bad outside, or you may be living in a place that doesn't lend itself to just going outside and playing. And there's a whole bunch of kind of outdoor activities that you can kind of bring indoor, even if you don't have a lot of space. And then I would say the opposite is true too, is like get them outside as much as you can. That is like the savior for
outside and run like dogs.
Yes, outside for kids and dogs are very good.
Great, amazing stuff, and amazing eye-opener. And I love this addition too, because it's it's all about the self-help and what to do, but this is something concrete. So focus on the success to the woman out there, the mother watching with us. Just do more of what works and what you can do, and forget about the failures, and do these things and have fun doing these activities.
And and like, if you have something just like maybe the kids are coming home from school about 3 or 3:30, and you just have something that you guys can do together, even if it's just for 5 minutes, it really sets the tone for the rest of the evening not to be combative. And so anytime like they start fighting or something like that, I know it's like, hey, we need to sit down and do something fun, and it gets them off track. Like it gets them off that whatever craziness they were in before, and it just helps them kind of get readjusted, and it helps us get readjusted because we need play in our lives too. I mean, I think so many of us are just too serious so much of the time.
Yeah, and sometimes I'm really eager to get them to play a board game, but it's my idea, and they might want it another time. But if it's just something to do, like some clay or Play-Doh, it's up to them, right? They're part of it. It's not another thing that I'm so desperately wanting them to do that they're naturally going to. No, we don't want to do that. So all of your stuff really works because they're in it too.
And if it's their idea, like my boys were always like anti-coloring pages, but we have literally hundreds of them on Kids Activity Blog. I love them because they don't have to just be a coloring page. You can paint them, or you can put, glitter, or, beans and leaves and tree twigs and all sorts of stuff can be glued on them. Or what ended up kind of winning my boys over is to have them use that as a background for something else. So maybe they create a billboard out of a coloring page for their Lego city, or like a really cool airplane that has like some decorations on the wings and stuff like that. So just letting them kind of run with it, so that like they're not thinking, oh, coloring pages means I have to go get the crayons out.
Yeah, and try not to interrupt. I've learned that. Try not to control how they do it, because we don't think about it, but it's really offsetting to them, right? Don't be a perfectionist about your kids' work.
Exactly. Well, and what's the deal with that anyway? Like, why would we even want to? I mean, like, but I know,
so
I think like our adult brains are like, oh, that's the only way it can happen. But the truth is, we want them to be creative, out of the box thinkers. So like the more they can just express that, and that's celebrated in your house versus, like, no, you have to stay inside the lines.
It's the worst feeling ever. So if you've done it, no judgment, just
no, we've all done it. And then we're like, what are we doing?
And they get so proud of stuff they've made. Like mine go to a Waldorf school, and it's all about what they knit and they do, and they're so proud of it. They're like really, really proud. So if we can produce that at home too. That. Yeah.
And then finding ways to display that, so that they have a special place.
Look what my kid made.
In your phone. And then I know that when we had a wall in one of the boys' rooms, that because he was really into like, cutting out pictures and putting them on the wall, and I just like at first I was like so worried about what it looked like. And then I was like, no, you have this entire wall, whatever you want to do with it. Because quite honestly, what's it to me if I have to go back and paint one wall in his room, 3 years later, no big deal.
It might very well help him in corporate, it might make him money down the line. Seriously. It's that kind of, creativity.
It's so true. And like he filled that entire, it was just a collage of just things that he had made and found and cut out, and it was just really cool. It actually turned out to be a really cool wall in the house,
and it was all him.
It was all him. I didn't do any of it.
No intervening. Great job. So this is both activities and practice in letting the kids do it and not intervene with their adult brain. So it's great practice for us too, and to see them be really proud of it.
I love that. And then if you have kids that are like always demanding attention, one of the things that you can really work on is by like setting them up with something, walking away, and then strategically coming back before they would come look for you. So you come into the room and you re-engage, and then as they go back in, you go back out. So and what we'll see is that time period continues to expand as they just get used to that rhythm.
Oh, so it's actually,
you can actually train them so that they're not like, hey mom, I need you to sit down beside me for like the rest of your life.
I have that. My 6-year-old saw the neighbor's Pennywise or something, and he's completely scared. He's scared out. He can't even go to the bathroom. So I'm also training him to like, I can go a few yards away. Exactly.
Just like a little bit of separation.
Good point.
And to help them work through those fears, because I mean, those are real fears.
Yeah, it is. I found out it's crazy. Like he's really, really scared, and he's like not usually scared, and it's been going on for so long. But activities help. They do.
Yeah, and like just talking about it and spending time together, but then having him realize that he's okay even if you're stepping away a little bit. So it was time, and I mean, it's good that you're addressing it, because like
the good thing is now he's in the kitchen with me, like, making food and chopping vegetables and stuff, because he doesn't want to be alone where he's usually would be somewhere else. So that's a plus, and so he gets to cook.
He may end up a chef or something, because
he's the one with the pizza with popcorn.
I'm a little frightened for him, but it is great.
Well, we'll see what comes out next. Holly, thank you so much. You have a free gift for the audience, right? So they can try your work.
Yes, and so I will send a link so that it can just go straight through, but it's something you'll be able to print off and play with your kids. And I also have a little gift for the moms. So it's not all about the kids all the time.
Good, cool. And there'll be a link for it, and we'll have a Facebook group where we can share experience and with the work and what we got out of it, and talk about it, so that we really learn everything we can from this experience. And just,
that would be great. And I would love to hear in the Facebook group, like, what activities do your kids absolutely love? Like, what are your go-to activities? Because it's so funny to see, like, each family is just a little bit different. It's really cool.
Yeah, and I'd love to share mine too.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's, of course, I love it when it just makes me feel great. You know, it's more of a flow instead of all this guilt and shame and trying. You have all these thoughts in your head. You have all these plans that never ever work out. And just sit and do something with them instead. Actually, forget all about the self-help. Just
and really, like, it really comes down to expectations. Like, if you're just making crazy expectations for yourself, I need you to stop. Because, like, you think about, I made a joke about not being Martha Stewart, but, like, the truth is Martha Stewart has an entire staff. Martha Stewart does not have small children at home. Like, there's a lot of reasons why she can do what she does. And there's no way that we could ever measure up on that. So, like, if everybody's alive at bedtime and in their bed, that's success. Like, that is like celebration, party time. And, and sometimes we just need to celebrate those, like, what we think of as just, oh, that's insignificant. Are you freaking kidding me? It's not insignificant.
That's connection.
Like, it's connection. It's people getting through life and having a good time. And, and that family, like, we had kids because we wanted this. And so let's celebrate those little wins along the way, because it can be long days.
Yeah. And I just realized the only time we're not in our head is when we're playing with them. And every other time when we're in our head, that's what destroys the connection, because it's all about our own feeling bad and expectation and projection. It's not about them. So there's literally no connection. And there's so much connection when we just do this, because we don't think.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, and like, but I mean, I think what you said is so true, is when you start, like, telling yourself something stupid in your head about whatever you're failing at, you need to, like, turn it around and say, what would my kids say? Like, your kids aren't going to tell you that, your hair looks ugly that day, or whatever is, or whatever you're stewing about. Your kid would never say that. Your kid would be like, no, mom's awesome. Mom does this with me. Mom does this with me. Mom's awesome. And that we need
not
to,
quite
like, take
the
on their.
I hear, but I trust that I am. Just have a 6-year-old that says, I want to go to daddy, but he's smiling, right? Because he can watch TV there. And he's like,
that's just their outward thing. You know what's in their heart.
I stick with the rules. And the trust.
But and that, which is a great too, because the thing is they need that. They need that in their hearts too, or else they wouldn't be doing that. And the thing is, I mean, my boys are always teasing me about, being silly and stuff. And I'm just like, God gave you to me for a reason.
It's a good line. I'm going to use that. And in the bad times, opposite. God gave us these kids for a reason. There's something to learn, right? And they teach us a lot, I find. When I finally listen to them, they're amazing. So they're teachers
so much.
Thank you so much, Holly. It's been a pleasure to connect with you, and you gave me so much inspiration. And I hope that you out there watching with us today, it also helped clear your mind or set your mind in that direction, that it gets to be easy and fun and playful, and not all the guilt and all the expectations and all that. We don't really.
Yeah, play over guilt.
Yes, exactly. Thank you so much, Holly. It's been a pleasure. It's been wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, bye-bye, and see you on our next show, next episode. All right, bye.